Welcome everyone to the Horrible YouTube channel. I am Michael with you. I hope you are all well and will enjoy today's scary incident. So let's get started.
Welcome to Horrible, where nightmares comes alive.
So, the main character of today's incident is a man whom we assume to be named Alex. Alex is a boy from a poor family. He worked in a factory that was 5 to 7 kilometers away from his house. Every day, he would go to the factory by train and return home on the 10 p.m. train. Everything was going well. One night, after finishing work when he was returning home, he had a few colleagues with him. While going towards the train station, they suddenly saw a crowd of people near the railway tracks. Curiously, Alex and his colleagues rushed over there. Upon arriving, they saw that a schoolboy had committed suicide by getting hit by a train. That boy was in the 9th grade. Alex's heart sank. He was overwhelmed with thoughts about why such a young boy would make such a decision. Anyway, they continued to wait for the train. After a while, Alex found out that the 10 p.m. train would be delayed. It might not arrive until 1 or 2 a.m. This thought made Alex more anxious. He decided to walk home. His colleagues tried to stop him, saying, "Wait a little longer, the train will come." But Alex was worried, thinking about his wife waiting for him at home, likely sitting there without food. Alex thought that if it was delayed for too long, his wife would suffer, so he decided to go on foot. Since his colleagues were not willing to go, Alex started walking alone. After walking some distance along the railway line, he decided to take a shortcut through the village. So he left the railway line and began walking through the village. While walking, he eventually reached a certain place. That place was an old morgue or mortuary. In that mortuary, the bodies of people from the area, those who died unnatural deaths or were murdered, were autopsied. So, he already knew about this morgue, although he had been there many times or passed by many times. But that night, when Alex arrived in front of that morgue, he felt a strange heaviness in his body. An unknown fear began to creep into him. Still, as he slowly walked on, he eventually saw that a few people were standing there in front of the morgue. Everyone was wearing long white clothes. He thought to himself that these people might be from the village, maybe some priest. Thinking this, he gradually approached them and tried to speak, as he was already feeling scared. To ease his fear, he mainly approached them to have a conversation. There, he could not see their faces well because there was dim light, not much brightness. He said to them, "I'm going to that village. Is anyone going in that direction?" A few of them replied, "Yes, we are also going, but we have a body. We will go after doing the autopsy on the body." Then Alex asked, "How long will it take you?" The people replied, "We are almost done. It will be ready in about 10 to 15 minutes. After hearing this, Alex said, "Okay, fine, I'll wait then. You finish up and we'll go together." So Alex sat down in front of the morgue, and while sitting, 10 minutes turned into 20 minutes. From 20 minutes, it turned into almost half an hour. Then Alex thought that sitting like this was a waste of time. He had walked from the train station to get home quickly. If he wasted time sitting here, what was the point? Eventually, he was compelled to go to the people he had seen and said to them, "Actually, brothers, you are taking a long time. I want to leave. I'll go on my own. You can come later." Then the people said, "Look, you are standing here or waiting of your own volition. We didn't ask you to stay. Since you have chosen to wait here of your own will, now you cannot leave. You must go with this body." Hearing such a statement, Alex's heart sank. He was not prepared for this kind of conversation. Anyway, since there were 5 to 7 people there, he could not argue further with them. Alex continued to wait, and after 10 to 15 minutes, they came out with a body, carrying the stretcher. When they came out with the stretcher, the people said, "Brother, please help us. Lend us a shoulder." meaning they asked him to help lift the stretcher with the body. So Alex reluctantly lifted the stretcher onto his shoulder and started walking with them. As he walked, he felt that the body was so heavy that it was putting a lot of pressure on his shoulder. He also thought that maybe he was tired from working all day, which is why the body felt heavier to him. He continued to endure this for a long time. Eventually, unable to bear it any longer, he said to them, "Brothers, this body cannot be carried by 4 people. You all should lend a shoulder too." After he said this, they set the stretcher down for a moment, and something strange happened in front of Alex. He saw that the poles used to carry the stretcher automatically extended, and where there had been 4 people, now there were 8 carrying the body on their shoulders. Now Alex had no doubt that what was happening was not normal at all. Still, he pushed through his fear and continued to walk in step with them. After going some distance, he noticed that just like before, the body had felt heavy before, it felt even heavier again. And this time, 8 people were carrying it, yet it seemed to weigh the same as before. So he complained again, "Brothers, why is this body so heavy? How can I carry it? I can't carry this body like this." Then all the people said together, "No matter how heavy this body is, you must carry it and you must go with us." After hearing such an authoritative or evidential statement, Alex felt he would lose consciousness. In such a state, however, he still lost the ability to think or understand, and like someone in a trance, he continued walking with those people. And while walking, he tried a little to go back, meaning he had taken the body, which was at the back of the stretcher. So at one point, he thought he would abandon the stretcher or leave it and run away. He was thinking this in his mind. While thinking this, he suddenly saw that the body in the stretcher, he actually had not seen it before. Whose body it is or where it came from, he eventually sees that the cloth over the body in the stretcher is slowly sliding off. And from that cloth, a human head emerges, meaning a person lying in bed, with their head sticking out or looking out. It creates a scene somewhat like that. Then he sees that the head of the body that came out, or the body that looked at him, its eyes, what should I say, not like a human's eyes. White, completely sunken, 2 eyes looking at him. And that body is not any other body. It is the body of that boy who had been cut near the train station. That body. After seeing this, Alex can no longer hold himself back. He leaves the stretcher like that and runs back. As he runs, he is aimlessly looking around, meaning he does not even know where he is going. He runs like this for a long time, and his body slowly starts to weaken. He can no longer run. He is so tired or so frightened.
At one point, he trips over something or gets dizzy, and he actually falls down. So the next morning, when he regains consciousness, he sees he is lying next to a cemetery, and there are several people gathered around him. So he wonders how they all got there, or what they are doing inside the cemetery. Then he says that the body he saw, a boy in the 9th grade, had committed suicide near the train station yesterday. Such incidents happen with that body, and he sees these things at night. Then his colleagues who were with him have also already arrived there, and they say, "What did you say?" They did not take that body for autopsy, because that body was taken from there and directly buried in that cemetery, in the cemetery itself, family-wise. So when did this body go for autopsy, or how did you see it in the autopsy? After hearing this, Alex actually cannot understand anything. He again loses consciousness there. And later, when his consciousness returns, he finds his colleagues sitting in his room. They had all rushed to bring him back from the cemetery. So after Alex regains consciousness, he is given medicine and taken to rest. Along with that, a priest from the village is called to perform some rituals. The priest tells him that the events that happened to him were actually due to an evil spirit. Somehow, this spirit had performed these actions to scare Alex. Fortunately, nothing bad happened to Alex, or the spirit did him no harm. The priest calms him and advises him to be cautious while moving around at night. After a few days of rest at home, Alex starts going back to work, though he remains vigilant in unfamiliar places. And that was the strange, terrifying incident that happened to Alex. And Ryan has written to me in our email, thanking Ryan numerous times for sharing such a beautiful story with us and for giving everyone the opportunity to experience an amazing story like that.
If you find that story interesting but forget to press the subscribe button, beware. The horrible might come in your nightmares and knock your doors for reminding you to subscribe.